How's it going, everyone? My name is Jake. I go by Flips, and today I want to talk about how you can succeed in 2025 as a small eBay reseller. The question has been asked, is eBay trying to squeeze out small resellers? It's a question that I get asked fairly often, and I want to kind of discuss it today and what you can do to continue to have success as a small, medium, or large eBay reseller. But first, before we hop into the topic, this is a live question and answer. So those of you that are here live today on Facebook or YouTube, if you guys have any questions about eBay, about reselling, about Poshmark, Mercari, District, and First Class Treasures, if you guys have any questions about thrift stores or garage sales or flea markets, if you have questions about specific items or how you or I do promoted listings, if you have questions about the eBay algorithm, any reselling questions that you have, including taxes and general entrepreneurship and finance, anything that you guys want to ask me, I'm an open book and I will do my best to answer them to the best of my abilities to help you guys make more money than you ever have and spend more time with your family than you ever have and enjoy your reselling journey. So I believe that the best way for small eBay resellers to crush it in 2025 is to simply stay small. Now, I talked about this a little bit on my latest YouTube video. If you haven't checked that out, after this, maybe you can go watch it. It's called The 8 Things I Wish I Knew Before Starting Reselling, something like that. And one of the points that I talk about is we as a community, for some reason, are obsessed with store size instead of how much money we actually make. It's a very backward concept, in my opinion. I know that this is kind of controversial for many of you, but I really hope that you guys kind of listen to this with an open ear and an open heart, because it could be transformational for how much money you make in your eBay business in general. So this happens all the time. We start reselling on eBay. We watch YouTubers like myself and a ton of others like Harry Tornado and the Commonwealth Picker, and we see items that we are selling, and you start looking for those items and you have some early success. You also decide to declutter your closet or your junk drawer and various rooms around the house, and you find your best items that have a good brand and a high demand, and you start listing them on eBay. Now, if you're watching channels like mine or like Daily Refinement or other educational-based YouTube channels, you're going to start listing many items per day with the goal of growing your store and growing thus your sales every single day. What typically happens is you are listing these good items along with some other items that aren't the best, that I would consider losers, because you are still new at this and you're still learning what actually has demand and what sells. And sometimes you watch these YouTube channels and you see that Beanie Babies sell well, so you start buying Beanie Babies, but those do not. You learn a lot of things along the way. But generally, people get off to a pretty hot start. And I'll use it as an example. Maybe you have 300 active items in your store and you are selling 4 items per day. That is an incredible place to be at. We'll make the numbers even easier. You're at 500 items and you are selling 6 per day, which is an incredible place to be at. You think in your head, if I just doubled this to 1,000 items, then I would start selling 12 items per day. And that is true if you are able to keep up with the current demand and sell-through rate of the items that you are listing. The issue with this is if you could already find those items and list them, you would have by now, because they're really great items, and why would you pass on them? But you have decided in your head that you are going to double your store size to 1,000, and in pursuit of getting to 1,000, you sacrifice the demand and sell-through rate of your items. For example, let's say that you go to a thrift store and garage sales every week, and you are able to find 15 items per week, which is just 2 items per day, at a 100% sell-through rate. And you also find an additional 15 items with a 50% sell-through rate. So what you do is you list those 30 items per day, which is those 30 items per week, which is about 5 or 6 items per day. And you list them and you continue to get really nice sales because they are pretty decent items that you have actually took the time to learn and research and realize, hey, these have demand and they sell for a good price. I'm going to go list them on eBay. Then what happens is if you could already find 60 per week, you would already be buying and listing them, but you clearly aren't finding them because you've only been finding 30. Now you have this goal to double your store size to 1,000. So what you do is you start to pick up items that have less demand. You look some items up and you see, oh, 5 or 7 of these have actually sold in the last 90 days for 40 bucks. That's actually pretty good. I'm going to pick this up. But there is 119 listed. So it has a very poor sell-through rate. So you list that in your store, and because there's not demand for that item, it doesn't align with the current sell-through rate you have of your store. Even if you don't follow the model that I'm talking about, let's say you have a 30% sell-through rate store of a ton of CDs and DVDs and media, and you already have 1,000 items, then you decide you want to get to 10,000 items, you would already be at that point if you could find all of those items, but now you are going to sacrifice the quality of those items to get to 10,000, and you are going to be buying a ton of media and CDs and DVDs that have a drastically lower sell-through rate just in pursuit of your goal. What I recommend to people is instead of focusing on growing your store, I would continue to focus on the individual items that you are putting into your store. It's really easy to get caught up in this. Well, if I double my store size, I'll double my sales, but I promise you it's not that way. I've explained to it many different times, and it's just a hard concept to comprehend because on paper, if I'm selling 4 at 500, I should sell 8 at 1,000, but you sacrifice that quality. What I recommend is not sacrificing the quality of your items and staying at a relatively small store size if that's all of the items that you can find. Whenever I talk about sell-through rate, I always get the comment that people can't find high sell-through rate items and they settle for what they can find in their area or based on their skills online. I find incredible items online every single day on Deal Soldier, on eBay, and during live shows on First Class Treasures. I am surrounded by hundreds of eyeglass frames right now that have great sales, and just a ton of different things that I've bought online. Anyway, people complain that they can't find these items, so they settle for the ephemera that has 1,300 listed and 16 sold. That's not a great business model to run by, in my opinion. What I recommend is increasing how much time you are sourcing and increasing how picky you are. It's really hard to go to a thrift store or a yard sale or a whole day of yard sales and not grab as many profitable items as possible because you can convince yourself, well, I'm already here. This item, there's hundreds listed and only dozens sold, but it does sell for an okay profit, so I'm just going to pick it up and list it anyway. You're perfectly fine to do that, but you have to curb your expectation that you are going to. What I'm trying to get at is if you double your store size, you will not double your sales, even though psychologically we think that's going to happen. You can list as many items as you want. You can have a huge store if you want to, but you have to set your expectations accordingly. You have to understand that if you want to double your store size, you can't just double your sales. It's just not going to happen because you would already be grabbing those items. I know I've said the same thing hundreds of times over and over and over again in this video already. We've only been going for 9 minutes. But I promise, you can list as many items as you want. I'm not telling you guys that volume stores are awful. I'm just telling you that you can't expect huge increases of sales just because you are increasing how many items you are listing. But if you continue to list, the best way to get more sales on eBay is to get better at sourcing and become a better person, thus becoming a better business owner, thus becoming a better sourcer, so you can find these items. Again, I just want to make it very clear. You can increase your sales by increasing the quality of your items, and you can increase your sales by increasing how many items you put into your store, but it will not be at the velocity that you think if you sacrifice the quality of your items, which you do every time. If I today decide I am going to increase the amount of items I sell, I am decreasing the quality of those items for sure, because I would already be listing those extra items if I had them and could find them. So if you guys have any questions about reselling, any questions about any of these various platforms of eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, First Class Treasures, if you have any questions about yard sales, thrift stores, anything like that, I am perfectly happy to answer any and all questions. I really appreciate the questions. I hope that you guys have a lot of them so we can all hang out together today. It looks like we are very lean on questions right now. There are 63 people watching, which is less than normal, but it is pretty early in the day, so a lot of us are at work right now, which is totally fine. But please ask questions about reselling, about business, about taxes, and I will get to them. And hopefully we can have a good little Q&A session with you guys. Also, let me know if you guys disagree about the my method of, do you think that you can just double your store size out of nowhere without decreasing your sales velocity? Hey, J Red, I was wondering if you could show us how you talk to hotels for the lost and found, like role play. Yeah, so Micah, I'm going to say this as humbly as I can. I'm really good at business to business connections, and it is one of the hardest skills in the entire world. And I talk to 100 hotels and usually buy zero lost and founds. It's a very, very tough skill to go in and talk to a secretary behind a desk and somehow get your way to a hotel buyout or a casino buyout. It's just like you would think it is, as you go to the front desk and you say, "Hey, how's it going? I was just wondering if I could maybe talk to a manager." And they'll be like, "Oh, are you rooming and do you have an issue?" No, it's kind of a weird request, but I just I have a thrift store and an online business where I sell various things, and I was just wondering kind of what your guys's lost and found rotation is. I don't know if you guys just throw that away or if you guys donate it to Goodwill or something. I just know that most hotels have a cycle where they go through this process. And I was just wondering if I could talk to the manager in charge of that. They will say, "Oh, I have no idea what we do for that, and I don't even know who you would talk to." You say, "Okay, well, can I just talk to your manager and I'll go from there?" And then you just have to choke your way from that manager to the property manager, to a CEO, to a VP, to someone in charge of that. And I don't know if any of you guys have ever done business sales, but no one. I own a business. I am an S corporation, and I get calls every single hour. I'm not exaggerating. Every single hour of the day of someone that wants to pitch me new health insurance or new Google ad listing things, and I ignore and run away from those people at all costs. Business to business sales is the most annoying thing on the planet, and it is not easy at all. So I would like, unfortunately, I just can't help you out in that very much. Go to hotels and ask if you can talk to the person who's in charge of lost and found. And it's very, very, very difficult. I want that to be so apparent and clear. It is a life-changing method, but you will not get even one deal unless you talk to 300 hotels. And there's probably not 300 hotels in a 50-mile radius for the average person. And if there are, there is a huge corporation that is already doing that through e-waste recycling and thrift stores, connections, things like that. It's very, 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 very extremely difficult. I get asked questions about this all the time. I'm actively doing this all the time, and I still only have 3 partnerships because it's very extremely difficult. And a lot of times those partnerships run dry. It's very difficult. Definitely worth trying, but if you aren't willing to put in hours and hours and hours of grind and getting told no over and over and over and over and over again, it's not going to be a profitable venture, but it is possible. Finally caught alive. Appreciate all the information as a new eBay seller. Appreciate it, Michael. Thanks for being here. Any special keywords really necessary with only 80 characters? You can't get them all in. Yes, keywords are absolutely necessary because people type in what they want to look for. And if you have the keyword that they type in, you will show up and other people won't. One of the best examples is blue line VCR player. Panasonic VCR players have this little blue line around the door where the VHS tape goes in. And culturally, is that a word? People just started calling them blue line VCR players. Even though Panasonic doesn't call them blue line VCR players, they just call them the Panasonic VHS player, PLV-4746. You and me and grandpa and grandma just call them the blue line for some reason. So if you have blue line in your title and someone searches blue line VCR player, yours will come up, and all of your competition that doesn't have blue line player will come up as well. Won't come up. So that's true on a ton of different things. If you have a basketball card and it is a certain variant, for example, a fast break or a cracked ice card, and you just put up Rudy Gobert basketball card Panini 2022 red, you will get that your item will sell significantly slower than someone who puts in cracked ice red, because people are searching for the cracked ice variant. So keywords can separate you from everyone else. You will make significantly more money if you can figure out keywords. Keywords are very, very, very necessary. So Trudy, focus on keywords. I have a few. My first popular video that put me on the map on YouTube was talking about keywords and how to maximize them and get more sales. So look for that video. Hi, I watch your videos. They are very informative. Do you use promoted listings? What percentage do you use? Yes, Nita, I promote all of my listings at 2.1%. All of them. Do you have an effective way to make yourself feel like you can take a break? I always have so much that I could do for my business. There's always listings and sourcing and processing to do. Yes, Kaden, this is a very great question. And it's one that I'm becoming a bit more passionate about. Because having a work-life balance and a life that you enjoy is much more important than making a couple extra bucks per day. Because a lot of times we convince ourselves that, oh, if I just like look on my phone on eBay for a few more listings, I can make more money. And a lot of times it's really not even that productive. But you always have these things that you could be doing. What I recommend doing is identifying the top 3 priorities that you have and then just doing 3 90-minute blocks. So if you are listing your items every day, list for 90 minutes straight with 0 interruptions. Obviously, if you have kids and they start crying, go take care of your kids. If you are married, pay attention to your spouse, be a good person. If you have a job, don't, you guys know what I mean. But really block out 90 minutes where you do nothing but list. Then block out 90 minutes where you do nothing but ship. And then block out 90 plus minutes where you do nothing but source. Don't try to do multiple things during the same time, because you'll end up just doing a little bit of all of them and not really completing or doing much in one of them. But if you do task A, task B, task C, studies show that the average person is 500% more productive. And those of us that have ADHD are something like 1800% more productive if you can just zero in on one task at a time. It can be very difficult, especially if you have those neurodivergent tendencies that every single American thinks that they have, but it's really important to just 90 minutes, do one thing. Second thing is to realize that you don't want to live a life where you're just constantly working and making money. Maybe you do, but like the reason why we make money is to buy back our time and be financially free and peace oriented, like to have that peace in our life. And if you're just constantly working, you're not getting any of those things. You're not living a well-balanced life. You don't have peace because you're always working and struggling and fighting and tooth and nail for all of this money and stuff. So just realize like, hey, listen, I am okay not doing something 24 hours a day because I want to go golfing. I want to enjoy a relationship with my wife. I want to go for walks with my dog. I want to not be frustrated when a friend calls me and needs to talk for 18 minutes. Things like that. Hey, do you have any thoughts on how to break through a stuck level of sales? For the past 8 months, I earn $200, give or take a week, regardless of the items I list. eBay seems to switch me off. eBay isn't switching you off. You are trying to. So this is what I actually talked about in the beginning of of this episode, right? Only list items that have demand, and you will sell more items. If you can only find 5 or 6 items per week, then you will be limited to how much money you make per week. The only way that you are going to make more money per week is if you find and list more high quality items. Not just more items, more high quality items, right? The only way that you are going to make more money, teetotal traveler, is if you get better at sourcing and finding items. So I would focus all of your time into sourcing more for longer periods, brushing up on videos from other resellers that go picking and that also show you what's sold, and constantly be doing exercises on your computer that I've gone on over on this channel of looking up broad categories, filtering to items that have sold for more than $30, $20, whatever your mark is, and then identifying those brands and those items that sell well. The only way that you will make more than $200 is if you find more items that sell quickly. If you want to see that increase of more than 200 pounds per week, you just have to find better items. You don't need to list more items per day. If you're listing like 10 per day, going to 20, 90 days from now, after listing 20 instead of 10, you'll probably sell an additional 2 items per day. But if you want to start selling 2 items per day immediately, the best way to do it is to just get better items. And that, like, people complain when I say that, but that is how you get better at this job than other people. Get over the fact that you can't find good items. Just get better. Like if Steph Curry all of a sudden just said, like, I just can't make more 3-pointers, then he wouldn't be in the NBA. He has a natural gift of shooting the basketball, and he takes more shots every single day than you and me do. And he's already a professional getting paid $52 million a year to shoot that basketball. And he is still trying to actively get better at it, even though he has demonstrated that he is the best basketball shooter in NBA history. He is still trying to get better. I would definitely recommend for anyone that wants to make more money is to not just say, I can't find more quality items. Finding fast sell-through items is too hard. If you believe that, you will not make more money. You have to find better items and you will make more money. How do you pay tithing on eBay sales if you are a small reseller? Do you do it ASAP or do you wait until tax season and pay on your profit? I reinvest a lot, so I'm not sure. Yeah, so this is different for each person. Just depends on how you interpret tithing and your relationship with the Lord. But I pay my tithing. So I have an S corporation, which means I get paid a paycheck. So I just pay 10% of my paycheck, and then I pay 10% of the additional dividends that come into my personal bank account. So everything that comes into my personal bank account, I pay 10% tithing on that. And I do that each. Did you guys lose me for a second? That was another joy of being a S corporation owner and getting another insurance call. So sick of it. It's so fun. Anyway, What's the lowest percentage you have put your store on sale for? I don't know if you're asking lowest or lowest. So I put my store on sale for 15% sometimes and up to 33% at other times, depending on how long the items have been in my store. What's up, man? I appreciate your videos and information you share. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. Just cross-listed 100 listings for the first time ever today. LOL. Oh, nice. Where did you list them to? You listed them from eBay to what? After around 50K in rev all time. Nice. Yep, I like to say that you should sell on eBay only for about 6 months, and then look into cross-listing. But yeah, sounds like it's going good. Good afternoon from Lakeland, Florida. Appreciate you being here, Kevin. You ever sold an electric typewriter? Yeah, I've sold a lot of them. Corona Smith does okay. During the pandemic, they sold significantly better, and the sell-through rate has come down significantly, so I don't sell a ton of them anymore. But the Brother, like kind of more modern, like the 2010, 2007 models of those electronic typewriters from Brother sell really well. I usually pick those up anywhere between $5 and $20, and they sell between $60 and $150 depending on the model. 2 live streams so soon? I'm in heaven. Yeah, guys, I'm really enjoying doing more more content, which is awesome. So, you know, I'm hoping to make a lot more videos, do more live streams. And then tonight I will be selling live on First Class Treasures at 7 p.m. If any of you guys are interested, 7 p.m. Eastern time. First link in the description below is the link to firstclasstreasures.com. If you guys want to come out and watch my live stream, I'll be selling a ton of like vintage. I've got some like brass candle holders and some Pokemon and basketball cards. Going to be selling some pocket knives and coins and memorabilia, a ton of different treasures and things like that, if you guys are interested. So again, first link in the description, and I'll be going live at 7 p.m. Hit the thumbs up. Appreciate that. The bargain effect. Money does talk. This is the exact problem that I have. That is thanks for pointing it out. It's good to hear from a profesh. Thanks, Amanda. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's important that we just keep listing more quality items into our store than just items. And the only way that you're going to list more quality items is by getting better at sourcing. So everyone falls in love with listing more and more and more and more and more and more items, and you will grow slowly over time, because if the items that you're listing have a 15% sell-through rate, they will sell 3 or 4 years from now, typically on average. Sometimes it takes even longer. Sometimes it's a bit quicker, but it all averages down to your average sell-through rate. And if you have a store sell-through rate average of 50% every 90 days, and you start to put 20% sell-through rate items, 90 days later, you will only see an increase of about 6% in sales per day. So that's a lot of work for 6% in sales, and you are working double the hours, listing double the items, and you're only shipping out 6% more. It's tough. But if you only list in-demand items, depending on your threshold, you get to say what you think is an in-demand item. If you're okay with 30% sell-through rate, that's totally fine. If you're okay with 15% sell-through rate, that's fine too. You just have to understand that doubling your effort will not double your money. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I know that wasn't like the answer. This is the first question of the day from Mike and Lewis Theriot. They were asking about the talking to casinos and hotels to get lost and founds. It's extremely difficult. It's probably not the answer that people want to hear, but way to take that in a right way, and I hope it works. Hope it works out for you. It is so difficult to get those. Do you buy pallets and gaylords of remote controls? I look daily for them, but still haven't found any. I don't. I buy lots of remotes off of eBay from time to time, but when you're buying like the gaylords and pallets, it's usually the remotes like this that have a 15% or slower sell-through rate. If you're into the volume game, then you can definitely do that. But I'm into fast sell-through rate items, and so I just buy them piece by piece at thrift stores and yard sales when I see them. And occasionally I will find a decent lot of remotes on eBay, but that's also difficult to come by as well. Hey J-Red, I understand your logic and usage of the sell-through rate method. However, if you are niched down into smaller categories, are there any metrics to use that help? Harder to source if niched down, in my opinion. So if you're niched down, it becomes easier and harder to source at the same time. It's harder because you're not just looking for anything that's profitable, you're only looking for certain items. But if you niche down into one item or category, you can learn everything about that item or category and how to find them. For example, if I only sold Dyson and Shark vacuums, I wouldn't spend as much time at thrift stores, and I would just be on Facebook all day long, refreshing and looking for vacuums that I can go and pick up in town around my area. So you get better at sourcing those niches if you get into niches, right? But if you're niched down into smaller categories, are there any other metrics to use that help? Yeah, I would just, so if you're niching down, every time you niche down into something, it's usually accompanied by more volume because you're limiting yourself to the items that you can actually find. So you're just looking for more of that same item, and you sacrifice again the sell-through rate and quality of those items because you are limited to what you can find. So I would just pick a threshold of a sell-through rate that you're comfortable with, and then go from there and set your expectations accordingly. Is there any advantage on getting an LLC besides upgrading to an S corp one day? Like, I feel like I can't get sued as a reseller. LOL. So you can get sued as a reseller. It's just a lot more difficult. But like example on these newer platforms like Mercari and District and things like that, sometimes you can sell something that can kill someone or harm someone, and you're liable for that for sure. But yeah, the LLC is basically just to protect you, limited liability company. It's in the name of the structure, where if you get sued, they can't take your personal assets. They can only take the assets of the business. And it's to be able to form that corporate umbrella. But also, it's just more professional, and it gets you into the door of making partnerships with other companies and entrepreneurs that are at a higher level. But yeah, other than that, there's not many benefits. And I recommend most people stay at sole proprietorship for a long time until the tax savings of an S corporation makes sense in reselling. If you're starting a pest control company or a moving company or something like that, LLC day one, because people can and will sue you. Been reselling a few years. Each year it gets harder and harder, albeit competition and corporate greed. Do you think this is a wave and we have to ride it? A fad that people will realize is a tough hustle and then leave the industry? My Goodwill manager was already complaining that sales are down each of the last 6 months. I said because they're pricing resellers out of the game. Thanks for your input. Yeah, this isn't specific to reselling. It's just kind of one of our psychological human conditions that we always think our situation is tougher, and we always think that the grass is greener on the other side. As you continue on in life, it will always feel like it's harder, even if it is getting easier. But yeah, this is reselling has been around since man was created. There's always retail, there's always resell and arbitrage. Reselling isn't this new thing that happened in 2019. So yeah, it will continue to grow, and there will be people coming in and out of it all the time. Same with summer sales, same with car sales, same with the medical industry. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, there's so many doctors. Like, can you even make money as a doctor with all the competition? But people are always sick and always need medical attention. Things that always have demand, you can always make money if you're better than other people. So Steven, the answer to your question is you just have to continue to become a better reseller. And if you don't, it doesn't matter the competition around you, whether that ebbs and flows. If you're getting better, then you will continue to make a good living or side hustle for yourself. But if you stay the same or get worse, you will continue to make less money because there are other people that are continuing to get better. So the only way to make more money in reselling is to be better than the competition, because it will always be there, in my opinion. Have you had any success in appealing a product removal by eBay? I have never tried that. I just had a Nerf gel blaster taken down, but there are so many of them sold daily. Yeah, I've just never tried that. I'm not going to, like, this is just my business model and what I think from a business perspective. I'm not going to waste hours across multiple days and even weeks trying to get a $14 item back on eBay when I could be at yard sales and thrift stores and connecting with flea market vendors and storage unit guys and getting several dozen $50 items. I would focus more on just acquiring that next $50 item than trying to fight eBay to get your $14 Nerf gun back up. Does that make sense? So yeah, I don't know. I've never done that. Do you sell on Whatnot? Thoughts on that platform? I have sold on Whatnot. I created my own platform called firstclasstreasures.com through the District app that is similar to Whatnot. I'm actually going live tonight at 7 p.m. I prefer the District reselling over Whatnot. But yeah, you can make a lot of money on Whatnot, and you can source a lot of good items on Whatnot. But just understand that you will get, if something sells for 40 on eBay, you're going to sell it for $6 or $7 on Whatnot fairly often. I've been niched down into patches and specifically tactical and moral patches. Wow, I'll slow down. I've been niched down into patches and specifically tactical and morale patches. I'm a very small store, but bulk lot. I buy bulk lot of patches and list a few 3 days a week. Any tips on boosting sales volume? Great question, Chris. It's kind of what we've been talking about today. So if you want to increase sales volume, you can list significantly more, but you will have slower sales in terms of percentage and velocity, because to list more, you have to sacrifice the quality of the items. If you would like to increase your sales volume, what you can do is get better at sourcing, and you can find better patches that sell for more money and sell quicker. Another thing you can do, shout out to First Class Treasures, patches are doing really well on firstclasstreasures.com. So you can start listing organically or cross-listing your items to First Class Treasures. And patches and pins and things like that are also a category that does pretty well in live selling in general on Whatnot, on First Class Treasures, on all these platforms, if they are exciting and cool enough patches. But guys, we've only been going for 37 minutes, and I only have 2 more questions. So please ask some more questions. Otherwise, we will be hopping off. So there's 75 of you guys in here right now. I'd really appreciate it if you guys ask some more questions about reselling and about, taxes and entrepreneurship, investments, anything that you guys would like to ask about. But if not, we'll go ahead and end things early. Do you see any setbacks with the tariffs that's happening in the last few weeks? Predictions or opinions? I don't really have any predictions or opinions. I just beat the competition around me no matter what. And I don't really care about what's going on around me. I will pivot and do what's necessary to keep making money. I don't know enough about the tariffs on a reselling level to know if it's going to affect us. I mean, first things first, I have a pretty large store and I sell a lot of items, and 97% of them are going to US. So those won't be affected by, my personal sales won't be affected by tariffs because I'm not shipping anything out of the country anyway. So I don't think it's going to have a huge impact on my business whatsoever, but I will be ready to adapt when I need to if they are coming. But yeah, for the average reseller, I don't think I'm not knowledgeable enough on the topic, but I don't think the tariffs are going to be a huge roadblock for us right now. Appreciate your input. The side hustle has been good, and I will continue to keep it going. It's awesome, Steven. No, yeah, just keep getting better by coming to these lives and watching videos, practicing, going out, sourcing more, finding better items. Sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders and you're going to do great. Have you found many digital cameras recently? No. Recently, I haven't found too many remotes or digital cameras, and so my sell-through rate has been suffering because those are 2 pretty high sell-through rate categories. When there's ice on the ground, there's no garage sales, and no one wants to donate in the cold. So sourcing is pretty difficult during the winter, and there are more people that turn to online sourcing because they can't go to yard sales and the thrift stores are worse than they are during the warm months. So I still find them from time to time. Every time I find a camera, I buy it. And I just sold 2 pretty nice cameras on Poshmark for those of you that listen to the podcast. Also, shout out to the podcast, the Reseller Island podcast with Shane and Keith. We just revived that, and our second episode is dropping on Monday. So if you guys haven't checked out the Reseller Island podcast, go ahead and do so. Also, I started a Facebook group for First Class Treasures. I posted it at the beginning of the chat. I'll post it again now. If you guys want to copy and paste that link into Facebook, I'd really appreciate it if you guys joined the First Class Treasures reseller group. Well, it's pretty much just a place where you guys can talk about reselling and also talk about the things that you collect and the things that you're looking to buy and things like that. And it's a really awesome community. So, but yeah, still looking for digital cameras every day. Haven't found too many of them recently. Who are some of your favorite sellers to watch on First Class Treasures? I love WSC's shows. Shout out to WSC on First Class Treasures. When him and Random Relics and CW Collectibles are all getting together, it's usually pretty chaotic and a ton of jokes and fun stuff going on. I always love Shane's shows just because Shane and I are good friends in real life as well. Even though we still haven't met in person yet, we have met virtually very many times. And then I like Jack's. I just like all the sellers, honestly. Like it's obviously like when people are going live on my platform, I make some money off of I make 5% off of all the sales. So I love anyone that's selling on my platform. I enjoy it for sure. But yeah, I love all the different personalities of people that are selling, and it's always a good time. Jose, I'm ready for you to start live selling more. Wow. Is that coherent? Jose, I'm really excited for you to start live selling more. You'll probably be one of my favorites, but you've only sold twice, I think. But both shows went great. So, have you considered doing store reviews? No. If you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he will fish for a lifetime. Store reviews are giving fishes, and going out and seeking the knowledge is what's going to actually get you to make more sales and make more money in this job. If you just ask an expert, hey, how should I do this? You're not going to make as much and have as much success. But if you seek out that knowledge and you go to and you watch YouTube videos and you even pay for courses sometimes, which I don't have any because you can find all the information for free on YouTube. But if you are constantly in the field doing that experience and stuff, then you're going to learn a lot more through time and effort. But just simply having someone review your store for you, it sounds like they're teaching you how to fish, but it's not. It's going through the motions of actually running an eBay store and learning as much as you can on YouTube and Google and all these platforms. That's going to help you. Plus, if I were to do store reviews, all I would see, I mean, I've seen other sellers do store reviews, and every single time it's the same thing is, hey, all of your items just kind of suck. I'm sorry. like you have all of these items that have 1,500 listed and only 17 sold, and you are $7 above market. So that's usually what store reviews turn into. And I do a store review every single time I talk on YouTube. My store review is, you guys need to get better items every single day. Should I be paying the IRS quarterly for my business or all at once at tax time? Thanks. Depends on how much money you're making and how complicated your tax is. Once you start making a really good amount of money every single year and you're paying a lot in taxes, I would recommend moving to quarterly just because it makes your life significantly easier. But if you don't have the cash flow, then that quarterly tax can hurt you financially, right? Because you don't have as much cash flow. So once you have that strong cash flow, you'll be able to pay your quarterly payments a lot easier, and it'll be better. So I recommend doing the quarterly payments when you are financially stable and it's feasible for you. How do you stay on top of what is trending for sell through? I watch other people. I consume a lot of content on YouTube, and I'm not afraid to spend hours at one thrift store to learn. So I'm constantly like watching what sold videos of other creators and I'm constantly looking up as many items as I can in thrift stores. I never stop looking things up, and that's what helps me find more and more and more and more stuff that have fast sell through. I'm also not afraid to look up items that I know have sold, because, like, for example, the Google Nest meshes, I used to sell those really quickly every time I found them. Now they have a poor sell-through rate, and if I stopped looking them up, I would just keep buying them and listing them, and they wouldn't move because I would have never learned that the sell-through rate has changed on those. Is buying sport card lots worth it? Not usually. It's almost like buying lots. So again, this is going back to what I was talking about in the beginning. We want to go from a 500 item store to a 1,000 item store. The easiest way to do that is to buy lots, because now we have significantly more items to list. When you're buying lots, you are getting a lot of okay cards and mostly bad cards, and maybe 1 to 5 good ones, depending on how big the lot is. Or you're getting a ton of really good cards, but you are spending $800 for $950 worth of cards. And after all of the time and shipping and fees and stuff, you're netting like 26 bucks. That's also a method that some people are successful at, and they spend $15,000 to make 2,000. But in the traditional buying lots, yeah, you're just going to, you convince yourself, oh, I bought 100 cards for $16, so I'm only 16 cents into each card. I've already spent the money. I might as well list it, even though this Dennis Rodman 1994, his random 13th year in the career that has no significance whatsoever. It has 426 of them listed and only 3 sold for $1.49. I've already spent the money. I'm just going to list it. That's just not a great business model, in my opinion, whatsoever. And it is what happens when you buy lots. Now, there is another strategy to where you can buy lots. This is what I do. So, for example, I bought this lot of glasses off of eBay. Okay. I bought, this isn't a great example because this lot is even worse than normal, but it was significantly cheaper than normal. I'll buy like 100 eyeglasses for 250 bucks. So my cost of goods is $250 per glasses. And then like 40 of them will sell for $30 and have an okay sell-through rate. And then another 40 will sell for $15 with a pretty slow sell-through rate. And then another 20 will have zero value online whatsoever. So what you can do is list the cream and get double or triple your money, and then take the other glasses and put them back as a lot onto eBay, and you can sell those for half or sometimes even all of the price that you bought them for. And that is why it's not good to buy lots in a lot of cases, because people are doing what I'm doing, and you are buying the lot that has 20 terrible ones, 20 barely worth it ones, and 6 good ones. And usually you pay the cost of the 6 good ones. Is maybe you make $80 off of those 6, but you spent $180 to get the lot, and now you're down 100 bucks. So buying lots is, I definitely recommend against the majority of resellers buying lots, because it's usually not the most profitable venture out there. It's significantly better to go to yard sales and thrift stores and to buy items one by one, piece by piece, identifying the items that have value and have the sell-through rate, and only listing 4 or 6 per week of good items, instead of listing 40 items per week that have terrible sell-through rate because you wanted to buy a lot or you wanted to double your store size. And so you just bought items that don't have the correct sell-through rate, that don't have the demand. Do you post wanted ads in Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist for items that you want to resell? Yeah, I do this from time to time. I have a couple videos on doing this. It's like an advanced sourcing method. You can take pictures of the things that you're buying a lot. No, Geralf Quibang. I'm married, so I am not a virgin. But you can post pictures of these things that you're finding and then say, I buy eyeglasses. Send me photos and prices of your eyeglasses. It's a pretty profitable venture. But again, you have to be a very, very strict business owner and say, I only buy this quality of item and I only pay this much for them. And I'm okay feeling uncomfortable in negotiation processes, making other people feel a certain type of way, because a lot of time, if people are trying to sell you their Oakleys, they see that it sells for $80 on eBay, and so they try to sell them to you on Facebook for $80. And you have to tell them, I'm only interested in these Oakleys at $5, if that's something that you're willing to do. They might counter with 20, and you can try to get them down to 10 or 15, because 15 into 80 is great. But the majority of people are just going to brush you to the side. So again, it's another one of those, the more advanced the sourcing method, the harder it is to do psychologically, because we as humans don't want to be placed in discomfort. And every time something is hard, we shoo away from it. So yeah, the more advanced the method, the harder it is to do. And the people that are willing to do that hard thing make a lot of money through that method. So it can be very profitable for you, but there are just a ton of advanced things that you have to get over that can be pretty tough. But yeah, I've definitely done it, and it has been very, very fruitful. Where do you see the next wave of hype going? Like Lululemon was hot when I started. Now that's pretty slow. Digital cameras were hot, but everyone is on them now. Any thoughts on future successful flips? I don't think there is an actual answer, but maybe this gets some ideas going. I still sell Lululemon and digital cameras every single day for huge profits. So I think maybe you have just, yeah, like if I pick up Lululemon for $2, it's selling for 18 to 25 guaranteed every time. If I buy digital cameras for $5, I'm selling it for $40 to $120 every time. So I don't agree with your statement, Stephen. I think that digital cameras, especially, if I pick up digital cameras, they sell within a week for me. Maybe you just are listing them a bit too high, or maybe you're expecting to get $180 when it's only worth $120. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, and then you answered your own question at the end. I don't have a crystal ball, and I would be weary of anyone that claims that they do. I mean, AI. If you can make an AI engine, you can sell that pretty well. But then you have to deal with competing with Microsoft and Meta, Facebook, and Google. I don't recommend competing with them. So I don't know. Yeah, no. When it comes to used items, maybe Pokemon cards. I mean, those are like huge right now, and they'll continue to. Yeah, there's just no way to know. It's kind of like predicting what the interest rates will be 12 months from now. Everyone thought there was going to be like 6 rate cuts this year. Turns out there's probably only going to be like 2. Everyone was predicting that we would be down to like a 2% Fed rate by the end of 2026. I don't think we're going to be there. But again, that's me predicting, and who knows. Thanks for all the info. Is there a tool to identify high sell-through rate items beyond eBay search and toggle between listed and sold? Not that I know of. Yeah, just you see how many are listed, divide by how many are sold. I can get Levi's, Lee's, and other jeans new. I looked at the sell-through rate. Will it be good item to have in the store just selling these jeans? If it's a good sell-through rate, yes. If it's a bad sell-through rate, no. It doesn't matter if you're talking about jeans or golf clubs or Pokemon cards or sunglasses. The item is irrelevant. What matters is how quickly will it sell for, and will it sell for a profit. If it sells quickly but you lose money, don't do it. If it sells very, very slow but you make good money, I still wouldn't do it. It all just depends on what you're comfortable with the sell-through rate. Again, it doesn't matter if it's Levi's or baseball cards or cell phones. If the metrics fit your business, the item doesn't matter. So you answered your own question by saying, I looked at the sell-through rate. So if it's good, then do it. If it's bad, don't do it. I already answered that question. At what point should I consider reselling full-time in place of my full-time job? My eBay side hustle has been picking up dramatically, but I'm nervous to make the jump. I love this question. I recommend that you make double your bills. So what I recommend doing is actually writing out a budget and understanding how much you spend on your bills, such as your mortgage or rent, your car payments if you have them, how much you spend on groceries, how much you spend on coffee or alcohol or your vices, whatever they are, how much you actually spend on Christmas presents at the end of the year, divide that by 12. Find out what your actual your lifestyle costs you every single month. Maybe you find out it costs $3,000. I wouldn't quit my job until I'm making at least $6,000 profit per month on eBay. And I wouldn't quit my full-time job until I had a 6-month emergency fund of my bills. So if your bills are $3,000 per month, I wouldn't quit your full-time job until you have 3,000 times 6, which is 18,000. I would shoot for $20,000 liquid cash, preferably in a high yield savings account. And then I wouldn't quit until I was making double my bills, which is $6,000 a month. So once you're making double your bills and you have 6 months of bills in your bank account, that's when you're good to go full time. Hi, Jay Ride from Europe. I'm selling Digicam. How long can you rely on them? Not sure what your question means. Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't understand the question. If you want to phrase it in a different way, maybe I can answer it. Hi, Jade. Watching from Australia. Do you have a rule on when to put your items on sale if it takes a while to sell? Yeah, so historically, usually after 90 days, if something's still in my shop, I put it at 15% off. If it's still there 90 days later, I put it 25% off. And if it's still there 90 days later, I put it 33% off. What I've been doing lately, though, is if an item makes it to 90 days in my store, I delist it. I make necessary changes to the title, which is rare because I think my titles are pretty good. And then I adjust the price. I usually drop, like if I have something that's selling for $30 and it doesn't sell in 90 days, I'll usually drop it to 25. If I have something that's selling for $25 and it hasn't sold in 90 days, I'll usually drop it to 20. If something is selling for $20 and it hasn't sold in 90 days, I'll usually drop it to like 18, things like that. So every morning I delist and relist, like my average is usually like 18 items per day because every 90 days, 18 items have been listed for more than 90 days. Hi. Oh, I already read that. Do you think you will go to the longest yard sale in America this year? It's called the 127 yard sale. Yeah, I went last year for the first time. I actually went with some other YouTube resellers. I met up with Kevin the Commonwealth Picker, American Arbitrage, Rod Picking and Punching, a ton of different other YouTubers. And it was really, really fun. We went to Frankfort, Kentucky, and it was really awesome. So yeah, I'll be there next year as well. I really enjoyed that little strip from Cincinnati down to like the Frankfurt area. But I'm excited to go again next year. This year, I haven't made any plans yet, but I'll definitely be going, and I'll probably end up hanging out with my new podcast member, Shane. Hopefully he makes it out, and he went to Nashville last year, the Nashville area. So it's possible that we will meet up and maybe try out the lower half, the southern part of that 127. But yeah, it's really fun. I really enjoy it, and I'm really excited to get back out there again. So you don't do international shipping at the moment? I do. It's just for every 100 sales, maybe 2 of them are international. International sales are awesome because if there's any returns, eBay refunds it with their money. So I love international sales. You should definitely have international sales turned on. Oh yeah, we sell in Dallas. Dallas is awesome. Sorry that you guys, sorry about Nico Harrison. I'm not sure if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, but man, oh man, what an awful situation you guys are in, losing Luka Doncic to trade for Glassman Anthony Davis, and then to have Kyrie Irving tears ACL. Daniel Gafford is out indefinitely. You had that earlier injury to Derek Lively. Man, what a situation to be in. I hope you guys keep winning though, because I need you guys to have a better record than the Minnesota Timberwolves, so that way the Jazz can get a better pick. But yeah, Dallas is an awesome area. I don't know. I'm going to offend a lot of people again here. But like Dallas-Fort Worth area is a really good place to resell. I know a lot of successful resellers there. I have been thrifting into yard sales in the Dallas and Fort Worth area, and it's a really good area. I even have people on TikTok say that they live in Florida and that Florida sucks for reselling, and it's just, man, I'm sorry, but if you suck at reselling and you live at Florida, I love you, but you suck at reselling. And if you get better at reselling, you will make a ton of money because you can go sourcing every single day of the year And there are so many retired people that just want to get rid of their items so that their kids don't have to when they're gone. The weather is incredible and there's just junk everywhere. There's valuable junk everywhere. So do you think that District will evolve into a better place for static selling? It's more geared towards live selling currently, but do you think it's a balance out more in the future? Absolutely. So on First Class Treasures, we're actually getting a decent amount of static sales. I have had just under one static sale per day personally, and a lot of sellers are getting an occasional static sell. I know DibDit also is getting occasional sales here and there. And yeah, but yeah, I've static sales are starting to improve. Man, I'm saying a lot more than normal. Darn it. I have a good communication with the CEO and as well as the board members team. And we talk a lot about Google ads and placement and things like that. And then it's a lot of responsibility is on me and Kevin and Jocelyn and Dave and these other influencers to get more buyers to the platforms. We are all actively working on that, and we all have different ideas and methods of doing that. And yeah, I think that static sales are improving on District as a whole, and I think that they will continue to get better and better as time goes on. Tick Tom. Yeah, again, same thing. I don't like. For some reason, items are really important in the average reseller's mind. Hey, Capital City Flippers, thanks for applying to sell on First Class Treasures. I'll take a look at that after this live. I really appreciate anyone that joins the platform, and especially the ones that apply to sell. Thank you guys so much. Especially you resellers out there that are watching this, which is probably close to 95% of you. If you guys want to sell more items, joining these District platforms is a great place to sell. So I would really appreciate it if all of you click the first link in the description, and let's go have some fun. But anyway, in my mind, I don't buy items. I don't buy makeup or sunglasses or video games. I only buy sell-through rate vehicles, right? If the item has a good sell-through rate, I buy it. If it doesn't, I don't. It doesn't matter if I think it's cool or if it's an item that I like to sell. If the metrics aren't there, I don't buy it. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about sports cars or clothing or sunglasses or remote controls or digital cameras. If you're buying it in a lot, it takes a much different skill set that is harder to obtain and sharpen than it is buying individual items one by one, piece by piece. I do not recommend buying clothing in bales, but it can work for you. But for the average person listening right now, it's not going to be as nearly as profitable of a venture as you think it is. Do you think as a sole proprietor it's realistic to do all my taxes myself, or do you feel like a CPA is a must-have? I am a very self-taught, self-driven, and feel very confident I can do it. I would definitely recommend a CPA no matter what. Running guidance is always hire a pro. Yeah, I would definitely hire a pro no matter what. Not only are they going to help, like, even if you're confident, like, maybe they don't help you get more of a return or save more on your tax bill, but it is a hedge against an audit, especially if you're a business owner. If you really start to make more money, the more clear-cut evidence that you can show of your write-offs and of going through the proper channels to do them, you are going to get audited less. And if you are found at fault for any reason during an audit, your penalties will be less severe because you have those hedges, such as a professional CPA. I buy lots online, but I go through every item and comp it only bit up a dollar amount. I know I can make a profit. That's exactly what I do. So when I see a lot, I would never just buy like a lot of 48 pounds of clothing. But if there are 500 shirts and there's pictures of all the 500 shirts and I can look and identify all of the specific shirts, then I would do that. Just as Darren is saying. Darren Adams. Darren Adams has a great strategy for buying lots. And like I said, buying and selling lots is just a different skill set. And that's the skill set that I'm talking about. and many other different skills and things that come along the way. Bow sells well in general, but not all bow sells. Researching every item and sticking with sell-through rate is the key to success on reselling platforms. It's true. Dyson sells really well, but not all Dyson sell. I found some time to list tonight. My goal is 30 listings. That's what I'm talking about. Good goal. Yep. And just list those good items. Sell a ton. How's it going, TC? Appreciate you being here. Any tips on looking clothing up? I suck at it, but my store is 40 listed, 135 sold. Haven't been able to scale. LO. Talon, you're in an awesome situation. Yeah, that's a great situation to be in. So looking up, it's harder to identify clear sell-through rates on clothing just because of all the different variances, right? So what I do when I look up clothing is I look up the brand and the item first. So like this is a Lululemon shirt. The first thing that I do is I look up Lululemon shirt and I hit search, and I want to see generally what the brand itself is doing on eBay, right? So a lot of times I'll type in a brand in a shirt and I'll see that there are 1,800 listed and only 40 have sold for the whole brand. So I typically stay away from those shirts. Then you want to type in size. Then you want to type in more item specifics like the color or the content of the shirt for the material, things like that. But yeah, I would start broad and then just go more and more and more and more and more narrow. Checking my last message the other night, but you were spot on, brother. You answered my question 100%. You must be psychic, LOL. Appreciate it, TC. Yeah, you're a good guy, TC. Sorry for the confusion. I meant, do you think digicams will eventually decline in sales? I think that that's the wrong question. I don't think that, like, as long as you are constantly looking up sell-through rate, you never have to ask this question. So even when I find items that have sold in the past, I still look up the current value and sell-through rate before I purchase them. So I don't have to guess, oh, our baseball bat's going to go out of style, our digital camera's going to go out of style, our Walkman's going to go out of style. Style doesn't matter. If you just keep looking up each individual item every time you find it, you don't have to guess, man, is this sell-through rate going to slow? You can see the current data and make your decisions based on the current data. I have some bad buys, slow sellers. Should I donate them to Goodwill? I do this from time to time. I do it less and less often. But by the time I got to my first 600 items on eBay, I went through and I donated like 150 of those items because they sucked. And then when I got to 1,000, I redid it again and I only had to donate like 80. And then when I got to 1,800, I did it again. I only donated like 30. But yeah, I would definitely recommend doing this from time to time. Just finding those absolute losers that are like, oh, I thought this Luigi plush would sell because other Luigi plushes have sold. But I realized that this Luigi is not valuable at all. I'm just going to donate it, or I'm going to run it live on an auction because there are Luigi fans who will pay $4 or $5 for this, and that's worth it. Things like that. I was wondering if there was a special thing you had to do to be an international seller. Did you say this special thing you need to have turned on or something? No, it's just eBay just rolls it out over time. All you have to do, it's just kind of like the credit score thing. Just make sure that you are a good seller who ships items during the windows you say you're going to ship them, tends to return in a promptly manner, things like that. But there's nothing special to do. eBay will just invite you into the program when they deem you fit to do so. And I don't have the metrics for when they do that or how they do that. Thanks for taking the time to answer my question. I'm going to go back to bare basics, only keep high sell-through rate items, then build again from there. That's awesome. Yeah, I think that you're going to have a lot of success in that. But as you're doing that, you're going to have these psychological hills or barriers to get over, right? You're going to drive to a thrift store that's 42 minutes away, and you're going to get there, and you're going to find one good item, one pretty good item, and that's what you should leave the store with. Happy birthday. You should really just leave the store with those two items, but then you're like, oh man, the time and the gas, man, did I even really make money? and you're going to be tempted to just buy 4 other items that are like bare minimum. Hey, this will make me a profit, but like there's just almost no demand. But I'm just going to buy these to make the trip worth it. You can do that if you'd like to, but I would really recommend to not do that, to just keep sticking to those good in-demand items and building your store that way. And if you're like Talon Fisher and you're having a hard time building your store, I think that that's the best place to be in. Right now, my store is growing, and it's okay because, like I'm still focusing on a decent sell-through rate, but my store sell-through rate is going down every day because I am acquiring different items and trying things out. But eventually, I think I will have a 1,000 item eBay store is my goal. Somewhere between 500 and 1,500 items that just have an ultra fast sell-through rate. Things are moving very quickly, and everything else I'm selling live. That's eventually the goal. Say it loud, Jake. Do you know any popular Dallas YouTuber resellers? Yeah, one of them is he recently stopped. Man, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. He hasn't made a video in a long time. But his information is relevant from his older videos. Ah, man, maybe you guys can help me out. He only sells clothing. So first off, there's a couple called K&M Resell. They live in the Dallas area. They only do clothing, and I think their 90-day total is almost $100,000 every 90 days. So they do about $1,000 plus in sales every day. They're really good, and they do a similar model to me. They do more volume than I do, but they have a certain threshold of sell-through rate on clothing items that they stick to, and they stick to those brands and those clothing items and things like that, and they do really well. Looks like Mark has a ton of other ones that he's putting in the chat right now, though. But man, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name completely. Jeez Louise. But he used to do only clothing, and then he started his own like buy-sell trade shop in Dallas, and then he just pivoted completely away, and now he just does video marketing for other companies. His name is Taylor. Taylor Resell, Taylor Exchange. There it is. Taylor Exchange on YouTube. I'm looking it up right now. He has just under 15,000 subscribers. And it looks like he's actually back to making reselling content a bit differently though. Will Pokemon cards always be this expensive? Is it too late to start collecting Pokemon cards? My plan to collect Pokemon cards while selling on eBay. Yeah, so his channel has evolved a lot, but yeah, he's in Dallas. He's in Dallas-Fort Worth area. Can we still just about anytime, anyhow? Anywhere, anytime, anyhow? I'm not sure what you're asking there, TC, sorry. Using Flyp to cross-list items from eBay to Poshmark and Mercari. When something sells on Poshmark or Mercari and delist, I'm constantly getting error messages. It can't be delisted on eBay. Any ideas? If you're delisting and relisting, like if you're delisting, selling similar, and then relisting, that's why. It's because that item that sold on Poshmark technically no longer exists on eBay, if that makes sense. So if you're doing that, that's the only thing that I can think of. Have you noticed an uptick of scam or frauds on your business? If so, how are you responding to this? Absolutely not. Nope. Have not seen an increase in scams or frauds in my business. You can resell from just about anywhere, anytime, anyhow. Oh, okay. I agree. I agree completely. You definitely can. Also, do you have more success with a certain hotel chain with asking to buy their lost and found? I know in general 1 out of 100, so there's nothing normal in this area. No, but I would say I have more success with gyms than I do hotels, and I have more success with casinos than I do gyms. So if you have casinos in your area, I'd look to those, then also gyms, and then also the hotels as well. At gyms, I find the same items all the time, and they're lost and found. Headphones, sunglasses, hats, things like that. When you're at a thrift store or Goodwill, are you just picking a section like the toy section or video section and looking up every item in that section and then moving to the next section? Basically, yeah. I've done this long enough to where I just look and I analyze, okay, what are the items that I've sold before, find those, look them up, and I do a complete sweep around the thrift store. And then I do again a second slower circle where I look more items up, and then I do a third even slower circle where I look even more items up. That's how I typically do it. What do you think about Tech and Sports? Tech and Sports is a great contributor to the community of reselling. I think that if you watch his channel, you will become a better eBay reseller because of it. I think that you shouldn't do everything that he says, and I think that you shouldn't do everything that I say. I think that you should do everything according to your own business and experience and fact checking it and cross-referencing between creators. But I think if you just completely copied what Tech and Sports does and listen to everything you say, you will be a better reseller because of it, for sure. Hey, brother, can you sell CPAP supplies on District First Class Treasures? Got a bunch of those puppies that go for $70 to $100. Right now, yeah. Do it. Do you think it's another health insurance salesman trying to call me? Gotta love it. Do you think it's worth it to buy an item with a subpar sell-through rate if you get it dirt cheap? I found an anime VHS tape brand. It has about a 50% sell-through used. I paid 50 cents. I'm sure it'll sit for a while, but it'll be nice if it eventually sells. LOL, it's hard to find comps for it brand new because there aren't many. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. So when I say average sell-through rate store, I'm talking about the store, not the individual items. So I have a ton of items that have over a 100% sell-through rate. And I have a ton of items that have a 100%, an 80%, a 50%, and even some 30s and 40%. But if you have a 50% sell-through rate and you only pick up items that have a 30% sell-through rate, eventually, after 90 days, you will have a 30% sell-through rate. But if you have a 50% sell-through rate and you keep getting items that only have a 100% sell-through rate, you will eventually get to a 100% sell-through rate store after 180 days on average, because those 50% sell-through rate items took 180 days to sell, right? But you can get, if you focus on finding as many 100% or higher sell-through rate items as you can, as many 80% sell-through rate, as many 50% sell-through rate, you can pick up a few 30s and 40s along the way. But don't fall in love with this if your goal is to sell as many items as possible and keep that cash flow. Because if you buy too many, your sell-through rate as a store will go down to 40% and then 30% and then 20, and that's when you get into trouble. So always shoot to have the highest store sell-through rate as possible, but you're okay to pick up some slower sell-through rate items if there is actual people still buying them and things like that. So. Are you still using Deal Soldier? Yes, I still use Deal Soldier. I've been having some like health and motivational issues with my vitamin D and testosterone being lower, so I don't do as much work per day. But I still use Deal Soldier weekly. I still get really good deals with Deal Soldier, and I make some money through Deal Soldier for sure. And I'm probably going to be ramping up my Deal Soldier usage over the next couple weeks and months as I start to feel better as well. So that's dope. But yeah, Deal Soldier is still, I use Deal Soldier a lot, and you can make a lot of money with it. What do you think the percentage is of YouTube reseller channels are fake and not real sellers? My guess is 95%. So you were far too emotional and too vague on that statement that I could put a percentage accurately. So first you got to define what is like fake or real. So if you think that like Kevin the Commonwealth Picker is a fake reseller, then I disagree with your sentiment wholeheartedly. But if you classify a not real reseller as someone who goes into a thrift store and pretends to resell on eBay but doesn't actually ever list anything on eBay, then that's a fake reseller. And if that is the metric, I would say less than 1% are fake and 99% are real. Is top seller good? eBay told me I'm not far off. Keep doing what I'm doing, shipping on time, no customer complaints, and I'll be there. I guess that's a good thing then. Why aren't my sales through the roof? Just because you're a top rated seller doesn't mean that your item